So the people I focus in are Zeke, Tyron, Jordan Lewis, and Neville Gallimore. Because people are always like, oh, you got to cut this person, you got to cut this person. If you have other players that you're curious about, we can dive into them, but these are the four that make the most logical sense. All right. You good with moving on from Neville Gallimore?
Yeah.
I think he's very replaceable.
Yeah.
Like your $8 an hour reporter.
Hankins.
He's not too far off.
Hankins is gone, right? He's a free agent.
He is a free agent. I'd much rather have him.
And you drafted John Ridgeway, and he had a really good year.
Well, Mike,
we moved on for him.
I feel like you're being sarcastic here.
Well, he did have a really good year.
He did.
He did. So
Washington.
I see what Mike's saying here. You can just draft another. Like, that's where Will McClay found that guy in, like, what, the 5th round?
Yeah,
you can just find another Ridgeway, dude.
At least we released him for good reason, so Dak could be in a meeting. That's the reason. That is 100% the reason. I know I said that sarcastically, but that is definitely the reason.
Don't let anybody fool you. Jerry really thought that son of a gun with 7 screws in his thumb was going to sit out one game.
What if one of those screws went loose in the middle of the game?
He had a plate and like 7 screws, and he's like,
screwdrivers.
He'll miss a week.
He'll be back.
So, and then he's like, I never thought that.
I know. I don't know who said that. All right, you move on from Neville Gallimore. Your dead cap hit is almost nothing. You save $2.7 million on your cap. And so this is a team that's $7 million in the hole on the cap. And I know people are like, oh, you can make $50 million like that. Well, guess what? You can make $50 million by keeping a lot of players that you probably don't want to keep too much longer. All right, so $2.7 million. We agree. Got to go, Neville Gallimore. Yes?
I concur.
Okay. Jordan Lewis. Are you prepared to move on from Jordan Lewis?
Not.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Because,
I mean, that's fine.
Because I'm trying to decide what I'm doing with Anthony Brown. If I can bring him back for $6 million, you know, that was something I was listening to Bobby talk about this morning, specifically with Anthony Brown. And I think Choppy was like all about it for $6 million. Like, I think that's where that was. But I don't know what I'm doing at cornerback, man. I feel pretty good with Bland out there. And now my slot is what? I think Jordan Lewis is a pretty decent slot cornerback.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's where I'm just not there yet. How much would it save me if I did, Kevin?
$4.7 million. So your dead cap hit would only be about 1.1. He costs 5.8.
Now I've made that $7 million that I need. So now I'm even.
And I'm about to make you way more money. All right. Jordan Lewis, is he worth keeping for $4.7 million? That's essentially what it comes down to, right? When people are like, oh, you got to get rid of this person, you got to get rid of that person. Is he worth keeping for $4.7 million?
Yeah, I'll keep him around.
All right.
I get scared of what Kevin just said. I can save you a lot more money. I feel like if Kevin was running a cap, I just want him to run the NFLPA, but if he's running a cap, I'd be like, you know, we have $50 more million to spend. He's like, don't need to.
Watch this. Watch this. We're going to whittle this down.
This is how I do things here. Plus, I can spend 50% of what other teams spend.
No. See,
plus, I have a coupon.
See, that's a great point. I would love that. But Corey also knows I'm a front runner, so I want to build a dominant team. All right, I don't want to build the best team. I want to build the best team that you're like, well, who are they going to play in the Super Bowl? All right, we go right to the most logical one, and this is why this whole discussion is utter nonsense, is Ezekiel Elliott. All right, Ezekiel Elliott, you could save a good amount of money on him, $10.8 million. So here's how it works, because whenever you throw around those numbers, you always like, well, what exactly does that mean? Zeke has essentially a $12 million cap hit. Right? Mm-hmm. So you release him post June 1st, then you break that in half. So it's $11.8 million, so $5.9 million per year. His count against the cap is $16.7 million. So you get rid of Zeke, you save $10.8 million.
And then you sign him for $3.
Well, if that was the case, I would hope you could just renegotiate the contract so you don't have to eat all that dead money.
You mean renegotiate it so you have more years?
I do not want to follow that line of
logic. You're going to have to spread that over the next 6 or 7 years so that he can play with Dak for the rest of his career.
Okay, well.
So are you spreading that he's going to need $3 million a year to hang around with Dak?
No,
are you okay with that?
I don't even think.
And then you're paying Tony Pollard $10 probably, and so now you're back up to $13 million.
And this is where it's problematic. I don't think Zeke is worth $3 million. I think I can. I think I can draft somebody in the 5th round.
You're going to get rid of your quarterback's best friend.
Yep, best friend.
Well, guess what? This ain't a clubhouse. All right, we're building. That's baseball. We're building a team that can win. All right.
Listen, I don't have time for a bad time. Let's just all have fun.
All right, let's get rid of Zeke, even though he's the ambassador of fun.
That actually is.
Honestly, he is the ambassador of fun. That's why his career has stunk. For his talent, he drank away and did other things to his career. Let's be honest here. The reason that Zeke is who he is because he did not take his career as seriously as he should have. And that, if you want to know why, how did he deteriorate so much? I don't know. Partying as hard as he did is very tough to be a quality running back for a long amount of time. But he decided partying is better than doing everything possible to have as long a career as possible. And the Jones family helped out by after 3 years going, here's all the money in the world.
Rookie Zeke was amazing. And
he was.
Like that stretch of 322 carries, 304, 301, like that many carries every year. And I know he had the 1 year break where he had 6 games off, which still is weird. But like there was a stretch where that dude was the most dominant, and then it just went.
From the 832. Man, y'all whack as F. Jordan Lewis is not worth it. Hey, don't include us all in there. I was trying to save us money. All right, so Zeke's out. Tyron Smith. You ready to move on from Tyron Smith?
How much money does he make? Because we have to divide it by, he plays 8 games. So how much do we pay him for 8 games?
His cap hit is $17.6 million.
So approximately you're paying $2 million per game.
Or $35 million for a season. But here's the most important part, Corey. If you do this is what the Cowboys always do. They post June 1st it, split it in half. You will save $13.6 million if you move off of Tyron Smith.
All right. Who's playing tackle?
I drafted the tackle. Tyler Smith.
Who's playing guard? Bring Connor McGovern back.
Surely Farniok's ready, right?
Nope.
Nah, okay. Well, as long as we're talking about the Dorrance Armstrong hype train, I feel like we're on the Farniok hype train.
Are you prepared to draft another guard in the first round this year?
No, not in the first round.
No, not in the first round.
We got our tackle in the first round.
Zach
Martin was a first-round pick.
You're right, but I don't need to take all of them in the first round.
What if the next second round? What if the next Zach Martin's sitting right there at 26?
Okay, look.
Are you ready for that boring-ass pick?
If you know that's going to be the case, then I would be in on that. I would be curious what kind of conversations they've had with McGovern.
So now I have $24 million to work with.
Yes, you do.
And I can go sign Odell for all that.
Well, hell no, first of all. And second of all, if you do, and this is where it's going to drive people crazy, if you did want to flatten out the Dak number and give him an extension, I could drop that number by like $25 million.
God, he's like a salesman. He's a car salesman right now, isn't he? He is trying to line, hey, look, we do this and this. I can get you to this number.
I think he's not going to work for us anymore. He's going to be working for the Cap.
Yeah. You're the new Cat boy.
I don't understand when I look at, that's why I get so mad at the way we negotiate. I'm like, what? That doesn't even make logistical sense why you would do that.
Would you call into the Get Right if Kevin Gray called you Cat boy and kept going after you for how you spent your money?
He would be. I wonder if you'd stop doing interviews or do more interviews.
No, you know the answer to that. I would 100%. I'd be like, let me convince you why you're wrong. And it wouldn't go well. I know it wouldn't go well, but.
So I am looking at Jordan Lewis money, Kevin, and at $4 million, that is up there with the Patrick Surtains, who's still on his rookie deal.
Sure, which is unfair because he's obviously amazing.
I mean, it's in the top 30 of cornerbacks. For a slot cornerback.
Okay.
I think he's worth keeping around just because I got to figure out. I still don't know if Kelvin Joseph can play. I don't know if he can play slot. I don't think he can play. I know Jordan Lewis can play slot.
And that's one of the things. I'm not against what you're saying about Jordan Lewis. That's why I just wanted to ask the question. So my question for you in the upcoming year, is Neville Gallimore worth $2.7 million to you? If the answer is no, you move. Is Jordan Lewis worth $4.7 million to you? If no, you move. Is Zeke worth $10.8 million? If no, you got it by now. And is Tyron Smith worth $13.6 million? If no, you know what to do. And when
I have $20 million to work with is what I have because I'm keeping Jordan.
Okay, so you have $20 million to work with, and then you have other options, but the options aren't as many as you might think. You're going to focus on players like Zach Martin and Dak Prescott in terms of finagling more cap space because you don't want to mess with DeMarcus Lawrence. DeMarcus Lawrence is already on your books for, at minimum, 1 more year, very well 2 more years. So you don't want to mess with that contract anymore. I just want to point this out real quick. Whenever somebody says they flipped a switch in a contract or whatever, that almost always means they're going to be here longer. Like, why is Ezekiel Elliott still here? Why wasn't he gone last year? Well, because you flipped the switch on that contract to get that money. So if you flip a switch on the DeMarcus Lawrence contract, I want to make sure that you want him here for 2 or 3 more years. Because if you don't, then that's a mistake. That's where that money comes from.
And this is where I can't focus my money now on Dalton Schultz because that I can't spend half of that I just made on this player. This is where I'm looking at like the Leighton Vander Esch's and going, I had you on $2 million last year. Like that was a reasonable contract. Did I find a replacement for you? Did I feel comfortable with you playing last year, even though the neck kind of thing popped back up? So this is like, Kevin, there aren't a lot of free agents on this thing that I'm like, I have to have back, that they have back, but I got to fill out a roster now. And for the most part, the free agents you lost maybe were about $20 million. Like, that's kind of the free agents you're losing are about $20 million worth of that. And so now I got to go replace those bodies somehow. Do I have other guys in my practice squad that are ready to be elevated and move into that? Do I also have options in the draft that can really help us out here? Yes, absolutely.
And the question obviously comes up time and again. I don't know if this is from Kevin Gray, but what's the point? Because Catboy won't spend it. That's why sometimes I wish I could be in that room when they're like, we're going to flip the switch on these 3 players. I'm like, no, you don't want that person here for the next 3 years. I know it's going to save you $6 million now, but what are you going to do with that albatross of a contract going into that season? That's why we keep getting into trouble. And I think the Cowboys do spend money, but they only spend it on their own people, and then they continually flip these switches, and they're like, well, we don't have any money left. Because you might be thinking, well, we got rid of Amari Cooper. How are we negative $7 million? Because of dumb crap like this that we do all of the time.
And that's why whenever the free agency like moments come up, you're spending $3 million on Dante Fowler.
Yes.
You know, you're like, you're fingers crossed Dan Quinn can do something. Anthony Barr was a $2 million spend. And so you're like, did I get everything I wanted out of Anthony Barr? Not really. But he had some moments. He had some flashes, but there were other moments that you were like, okay. So I see where you're going with this, man. They don't have a lot to spend on the big names that could really be a boom or bust contract for them.
Unless
hopefully a boom.
You bite the bullet.
Siri talking to me right now.
And that's why you have to make I think you have to make the decision on Dak this offseason is if you're going to extend him or if you decide, I appreciate your service these last 2 years and that's it.
From the 817, we have Bland. We don't need Lewis. This is a 3 cornerback league, if not 4.
Yeah.
You need a third corner. What are you doing there? You trust Kelvin Joseph? Are you drafting? Tell me that your plan if you're going to say we don't
work.
Otherwise, I'm not trusting that. I do trust Jordan Lewis in the slot. I don't trust any of the other players yet.
I think that's the most reasonable one. At $4.7 million to keep Jordan Lewis, that might be the most reasonable of the bunch.